All you get with scuba diving is a chance to go to a completely alien world and fly around. I mean, if that's not enough to entice you into trying it, I don't know what more I can really say. It's amazing. And it seriously has changed my life.
I am sitting here with Tyler Phillips, who is a dive instructor here in Orlando, Florida. Hi Tyler, how are you?
I'm quite well, how are you?
Good. Okay, so let's start off with just asking you a couple questions about yourself. Growing up, what did you want to be when you were younger?
When I was a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian.
Why did you want to be a veterinarian?
I've always loved animals, you know, and the science part of it always interested me. Science, nature, animals, that's always been my thing.
What piqued your interest in scuba diving?
Well, when I was a kid, Sea Lab was a thing. I mean, that's how old I am. And Jacques Cousteau, stuff like that, always caught my attention. Living where I lived in southern Canada and northern New York, didn't really have a chance to go to become a scuba diver. Then I got a call from a friend one day, and that's what just what I just did. And she'd been scuba diving, and I was like, what am I waiting for? So that day I went out to the nearest dive shop and signed up to become a scuba diver. And after I started doing it, well, it changed my life.
How long does it take to become certified?
You can become certified at the entry level for open water scuba diving, which is a certification that allows you to dive up to 60 feet. You can do that in a weekend.
What was your first experience diving?
Oh, in the class, you do 4 open water dives. So you already have that much experience when you're handed your cert card. Me and a friend of mine who had just recently gotten certified, started diving that afternoon. We went to a local shipwreck and we dove probably 4 or 5 times more that day.
You grew up in Canada. What part of Canada?
I was born on the seashore in St. John, New Brunswick.
Okay.
And then grew up on the shore of Lake Ontario and the St. Lawrence River.
Okay, so how did you end up in Florida?
I ended up in Florida. I have a friend here, and whatever personal circumstances in my life, I had enough business success where I was pretty much free to come and go as I pleased. And he had an empty rental house, and he's coming to Florida, and I came here.
What is your favorite part about scuba diving?
That is a tough question. That's hard. I've got a pretty good vocabulary. I don't really have the words to answer that question. There's solitude. You're in an alien world, and you're flying around. And there's a whole lot of sensory input. The decisions you make are very important. And it's a real life-affirming thing in many ways. There's just some amazing animals that I've seen, and it's hard to believe that they're real. Sharks are probably my favorite. But there's just so much. There's so many, just on a different scale. There's almost microscopic life up to whale sharks, which are 45, 50 feet long. So sometimes you'll have a student that will realize they're 30 feet underwater and suddenly decide they don't want to be. And that's a very bad situation. I mean, all they need to do is tell me that they want to stop, and we'll slowly and orderly ascend. But that's about the most dangerous thing you can do in scuba diving, is an uncontrolled descent to the surface. So that's a frightening thing. Pneumothorax injuries, you can overexpand your lungs. Basically, if you blow up a balloon underwater and bring it up, it's going to expand as the pressure starts to decrease. And the same thing will happen with your lungs. So if you panic, take a breath, and head for the surface, you are going to hurt yourself. That's the real danger with a panic diver and uncontrolled descent. There are some other injuries that are possible scuba diving. Keep in mind that scuba diving has an accident rate similar to bowling. Mm-hmm. People really don't get hurt. If you dive the way that you've been instructed, assuming you've been properly instructed, there is really no danger to be had. But there are other issues that the physics and physiology are such that if you stay down long enough, deep enough, that you can get yourself the bends, which is gas in your bloodstream starts to precipitate out and form bubbles in your bloodstream, which interferes with your blood flow, and it's quite painful. That's the bends that people talk about.
What was it that made you want to be a dive instructor?
I just love to scuba dive, and the diving itself is really cool, but this being in that environment, having that contact with those animals, and there's just so much to see and so much to learn. I just love turning people on to that. It's It's the desire to just to teach people so they know what they're missing under there. It's amazing. There's a whole world out there that people don't see.
Diving wise, do you have like a mentor or someone that you've always looked up to, like in the diving world?
Most of the people in this industry that I look up to are females.
Okay.
There's a Women's Divers Hall of Fame that has some amazing human beings in it. Women make great scuba divers. They're usually smaller and their air consumption is much better. So you guys usually make much better divers than men.
All right, so any other hobbies?
The BattleBots thing.
Tell us about
Discovery Channel, Fridays at 8.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a real cool thing. That's 250-pound contraptions just designed to beat the crap out of other 250-pound contraptions. Basically no holds barred. You can do pretty much anything you want. It's just great, a lot of fun. It's build, destroy, repeat. It's just a lot of fun, especially if you're a nerd.
So you're a science person.
Science, engineering, whatever. I'm just a kind of a nerdy guy that likes nature.
That likes nature.
Yeah, I like to swim with sharks and stuff like that, but
okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone that wants to get into the diving, or maybe they're scared? What would you tell them?
My advice, if anybody wants to get into diving, is to do it. Do it immediately. Don't wait another moment. You can do it this weekend. Do it immediately. Do it with gusto. I mean, people have misgivings because they don't really understand it, I think, a lot of times. Some people generally don't want to do it, but your comfort level is directly related to your training. And the more you train and practice, the more confidence you have, and your ability to enjoy it just increases astronomically. Something else I do, which you might find interesting, is an organization called Dive Heart. Okay. And that is helping what is referred to as limb-different people. Oh. So amputees, paraplegics, quadriplegics, perhaps people that were born missing a limb. That's the training I'm taking right now. Okay. That's like almost starting all over again. Okay. So taking a quadriplegic scuba diving at depth it's an undertaking. I mean, there's not motor skills. So it's basically starting the scuba education all over again. But it's really neat. I mean, to see somebody wheel up in a wheelchair and just flop into the water and swim away it's a pretty cool thing to see. It really is. The hardest part of it seems to be finding people that are limb different that realize they can go scuba diving. So that's really been the challenge, is to find students. Any advice for anyone in life in general, like just someone that's afraid to, you know, follow a passion or a dream or a goal that they have? I have been a lot of places and done a lot of things in my life. People have bucket lists, and I really don't have much left on my bucket list. But my advice is, I mean, if you know what you want to do in your life, that gives you an incredible leg up. I mean, that's an amazing thing. If you know what you want to do, then do that, and don't do anything that isn't that, and you will be where you want to be. Just pick what you want and just don't do what isn't that. Great advice. That's great advice. Yeah. Well, thank you for being on the show, Tyler. Well, thanks for having me. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, thank you very much. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to see more of Purpose. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.